What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Truth Podcast. I'm your host, Hany Rambod, and I have a very special guest with me today. Actually, two guests. And I never thought this was going to happen because in the past, I'm super critical of everything because I'm wired that way. And I didn't think that it was going to be a really good podcast, but we're going to give this a go ahead and a try. So without further ado, before I go ahead and introduce this special guest, I want to say, make sure you do not forget to subscribe. Make sure you end up liking this, especially if you like the content, and let me know who you'd like to see on the Truth Podcast. But again, without further ado, I have the gentleman who is the two-time Mr. Olympia People's Champion, Hadi Choopan. And I also have a really good friend / colleague of his, Habib, and Baziar. Am I pronouncing that right? Baziar. I'm sorry about that. So obviously, Hadi speaks Farsi. He also has to lip read. And then Habib is here because Habib, who's not only a good friend of Hadi, is also somebody he's known for a very long time in their hometown of Shiraz in Iran. So Hadi's been friends with both Habib, his brother, his family. Habib has got a gym also in Shiraz as well as Hadi. And so I think it would be a good perspective because he lives here in the Bay. He's been helping out every day with helping with cooking the meals and putting things together, taking them places in the evening time, coming to the gym for the evening session. And Habib, it gives a little bit perspective. We're going to use him as a little bit of a translator. So no offense to Paul, the 3-time champion, Paul Bakhtiar, who you guys all see, who is the, how do you feel about you versus Paul, Habib, in terms of the translating?
Actually, I'm here to present myself and beat Paul.
You want to beat Paul for translation?
I'm a new Paul. I'm taller.
Oh, so I think you're talking about physique wise, right? Because that's it. Because I know you've only been here for how many years?
6 years.
6 years, and Paul basically has been here his whole life.
Paul gonna be better because my English is not that perfect, so I'm doing my best.
Sure.
To translate. So
yeah, you're doing a great job already. But you're saying basically, Paul, Habib is calling you out for the translator pose down.
Yeah.
He's definitely gone undefeated till now, but now Habib wants to definitely do the pose down. And that's hilarious because Paul's watching this right now and he's probably like, oh man, I'm going to get ready. So that being said, yeah. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to work this format a little bit. I'm going to go ahead. Obviously, I understand everything that Hadi is saying, but at the same time, there's a lot of vocabulary and words that I don't know in Farsi that Habib can help me out with. And I think I want to start from the beginning. I want to start with, this is his first podcast ever. He's obviously has won several pro shows. And he has also been third in the Olympia just a couple days ago. And he was fourth in the Olympia the year before that. And his Olympia debut, he was also top 3. And the first time winning the men's, the men's open, people's champion, people's Olympia award, people's champ award, I should call it. And I think the biggest thing is just understanding his background. We have so many questions. We put up a lot of questions on Instagram and on the YouTube channel, and we got a ton of questions. And I think a lot of people want to know from the beginning what the beginning origins of Hadi is. So I'm going to go ahead and speak to him in Farsi, and then we can kind of go back and forth and we'll see how the format kind of goes. So again, guys, I apologize. This is something that we didn't think we were going to do because it's always so difficult because he has to lip read. So we never were able to really even consider doing it through Skype or through Zoom. So now that we're all in the same room together, I think it really makes sense, and just get perspective of his past as well as, talking a little bit about the show and some other things as well. So I want to go ahead and talk a little bit about bodybuilding history. One of the questions was like, how old were you when you started? چند سالت بود که شروع کردی ورزش با وزنه؟
عرض سلام و ادب دارم خدمت همه کسایی که این مصاحبه رو نگاه میکنن. من از سن 13 سالگی ورزش رو شروع کردم و در 17 سالگی پرورش اندام رو ادامه دادم، انتخاب کردم و از اون موقع تا الان در حال مسابقه و تمرین و هر روز ادامه میدم تا اینکه بتونم بهترین ها رو کسب کنم.
He said he want to say hello to everyone, and actually he started the bodybuilding when he was 13. So since then he's working out and he compete.
Okay. Yeah. Again, also I'm going to do a little bit of layer translating there. He's been training since he was 13 and he's been competing since he was 17 years old. And so that's when he started competing. I guess الان چند سالتونه? How old are you?
خب الان تقریبا 7 روزه
چند سالتونه؟
وارد 34 سال شدم.
Okay, so he's just turned 34. So he just turned 34. So for those of you who are asking, how old is the wolf? He's 34 years old. And so he's still at his prime. I guess one of the questions here was, who is his idol? Like when you started bodybuilding, موقعی که شروع کردی ورزش کردن زیبا اندامی، کی کسایی نگاه می‌کردی که چیز بودن؟ آمریکایی بودن، ایرانی بودن؟ Were they Americans? Were there Persian athletes? What is it that you saw that you looked up to?
بیشترین بدنسازای دنیا همه از قبل با بدن آرنولد عاشق پرورش اندام شدن و همه محبوب این ورزش رو آرنولد می‌بینن. چه تو شبکه‌های تلویزیونی چه تو تلویزیون آرنولد می‌دیدیم و به ما رویه میداد که به سمت ورزش پرورش اندام بیان. بعد از اون من با چند نفر بیشتر کار نکردم، داخل یک باشگاه تمرین میکردیم که مربی اون آقای جمشید اوجی بود. بعد از اون تا مراحل قهرمانی کشور پیش رفتیم. وقتی سطح مسابقات رو به بالا رفت در تیم ملی ایران.
Okay, so basically what he was talking about was the fact that he looked up to Arnold. Most of the athletes that they would look up to internationally, especially, were the biggest athletes were the international ones that came from the United States. And so therefore Arnold was kind of the biggest idol that they looked up to. Then there was also a gentleman, اسمشون چی بود؟
Jamshid Oji.
Jamshid Oji.
Yeah, it was his first coach when he started.
Okay, and Mr. Jamshid was his first coach, and also was at his gym.
Yes, he was working out in his gym.
Okay, yeah. And was he a famous bodybuilder in Iran?
No, he was a gym owner.
Gym owner. Okay. Yeah. Okay. And then was there any famous bodybuilders? کسی بود که ایرانی بود که شما نگاه می‌کردی که فکر می‌کردی که مثلا واقعا آدم کسی که مثلا اون می‌خوای بشی؟ Was there somebody you looked up to that was an Iranian bodybuilder?
خب هر کسی هدف‌های بزرگی داره و برای هدفش تلاش میکنه. حتی شبا زمانی که میخواد بخوابه روی کابوس هدفش خواب میبینه و هدف گرفتنیه، باید واسش تلاش کرد. هر کسی بخواد به درجه برسه باید واسه اون هدف، واسه اون آرزو هر روز تلاش بکنه.
کدوم ورزشکار ایرانی بود که تو دوست داشتی؟
ورزشکار ایرانی همه خوبن، همه محبوب هستن.
وقتی که ورزش رو شروع کردی؟
قبل از اینکه ورزش رو شروع کردم قهرمانای زیادی داشتیم. ما تو شیراز یکی از بزرگترین قهرمانانمون که در وزن سنگین وزن مسابقه میداد و بدن اون نمای رو به دورانجست بود، آقای محمد علی اکبری بود.
محمد علی اکبری
در شیراز در زمانی که اوجمون پایین بود و در طول مسابقات کشوری هنوز زنده یاد بیت الله عباسپور به اون مندرجات اصولیگی و بالا نبود. ایشون خیلی سن و سالشون بیشتر بود و قهرمانی کشور رو جلوتر داشتن.
Okay, so another person that was very very popular was Bayatollah Abbaspur, God rest his soul. He passed away about 6-7 years ago, if I got my years right. But شما باشون شرکت میکردین یا از تو بزرگتر؟
نه، من هیچ رقابتی با آقای عباسپور و ایشون نداشتم. آقای عباسپور اصول ورزش پرورش اندام ایران بود که متاسفانه عمرشون بقا نداد.
Right.
و ایشون بودن که سرشکن مسابقات حرفه‌ای بودن.
So he was basically somebody that was a bit older than him. He didn't compete against him in the same division, and so they didn't get to compete against each other. But he was a very big athlete and a very well-known athlete. Obviously, the best athlete in Iran at that point, because he was also to be able to. For those that know, Bayatollah also was the only other athlete that I know of from Iran directly that had competed in the Mr. Olympia competition. So he was very, very well known. So that was another person. So در ورزش شما شروع کردین مردم خوششون می اومد. Like, do people like the fact that like bodybuilding is very big in Iran? But when you were younger, did you see people accept bodybuilding, or was it something that people thought it was not like, you know, proper to compete in bodybuilding?
وقتی که ورزش رو شروع کردی به نظر مردم ورزش بدنسازی رو دوست داشتن و خوششون می اومده که تو ورزش بدنساز بودی یا که نه؟
خب ورزش کلا مردم ایران یک ملیت ورزش دوست هستن و اسطوره پرستن. بیشتر قهرمانا رو دوست دارن. همونجور که می‌دونید هر قهرمانی که در رشته‌های مختلف وقتی از قهرمانی برمیگردن به شهرشون کل مردم شهرشون میرن و اونا رو دوش میگیرن و گلریزون میکنن.
So basically he's saying that the fans of Iran are very into sports, and especially the people that do well, the teams that do well, the champions, they like to really praise them. Therefore, if somebody does really well, they'll go there and they'll actually be able to do the things very similar to what happened with Hadi when he goes back to Iran, and there's a lot of people that show up and they praise their athletes.
و قهرمانانشون رو دوست دارن. فرق بین قهرمانان نمیذارن. ورزش پرورش‌اندام امروزه همچون فوتبال داخل ایران محبوبیت خیلی زیادی داره.
Avale, is it the first one? Is soccer, football, what do they call football in all the rest of the world except for the United States? اولین ورزش ایران فوتباله؟
محبوبیت ورزش‌های پرورش اندام داخل ایران همتراز با فوتباله. یعنی همون اندازه که فوتبال طرفدار داره پرورش اندام هم طرفدار داره امروز. و شرکت کننده‌های مسابقات زمانی که برگزار میشن به 1000 نفر میرسن.
Okay.
و طرفدار زیادی پیدا کرده پرورش اندام تو ایران و همه رقابت‌ها حداقل 20 تا 30 تا قهرمانی پرورش اندام دارن تو سطح جهان.
Okay, so basically, Habib, I mean, you know this because you've been here just only the last 5 or 6 years. Mm-hmm. So bodybuilding has gotten really big in Iran, and and do you think, because again, Hadi says that it's just as big as soccer. He just mentioned right now that it's just as big as soccer in Iran. Is it as big as that, or is it just almost as big? Because I mean, soccer is the biggest sport, right?
Yes, exactly. So if you want to say about the members, yes, because we almost, I guess we have 6 million people who doing bodybuilding, like from amateur who just working out or who could just go to the gym. But soccer maybe much less than that, but they watching soccer more. But bodybuilding, they doing the bodybuilding. So that's why he compare it, because many people they go to the gym to work out, to compete. We have many competitors. Every competition we have 1,000 people they compete in. National competition. Right.
So guys, this is the thing. So you know how we have our USAs and we have our nationals and we get 600-700 people? Their regular show is, and you gotta remember, there's no women in this because women are not allowed to compete in Iran. It's over 1,000 people in just the men's division in a show in Tehran. It's, you know, and we're not talking about the biggest show. We're just talking about pretty much almost any show, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, in pretty much any show. It's, you know, obviously the bigger ones are a little bit bigger, but at the same time, I've seen the videos of the regular athletes. I've even seen them yelling and screaming and everybody against. If you guys watch the social media, these guys are literally like, when they don't get their placings, we're very passionate people.
Except the first place, from the second, and everyone complaining about their places.
Right. Yes. The guys that are placing second or below
want to be champion.
Right. And if you watch this Instagram stories and Facebook, you see these guys getting in the faces. It's like, it's what not to do. We don't want that. But they're very, very passionate people. So I'm wondering, شما مادر پدرتو اوکی بودن با تو میخواستی ورزش زیبا اندامی میخواستی شرکت بکنی، اونا باشون اوکی بودن یا خوششون نیومد از این؟
خانواده‌مون.
آره، یعنی درباره که تو میخواستی تو زیبا اندامی شروع کنی.
اون زمانی که ما هم کار میکردیم، هم ورزش رو ادامه بدادیم، بعد پدر و مادر دلش میسوزه.
Oh, I'm sorry guys. I'm asking if his mom and dad were okay with it. That was when the question was whether or not they were okay with the fact that he was bodybuilding at, when he started at a young age, because he started competing at 17.
به خاطر فشارهایی که این ورزش داشت و حتی باید با آهنا کار میکردی، آهنای سنگین رو جابجا میکردی، بعد شب که میرفتی خونه از درد عضلاتت، از درد عصبای عضلاتت داشتی به قول معروف ناراحتی رو میدیدن، خب دیگه دلشون میسوخت، ناراحت میشدن. اما بعد که افتخارات رو دیدن، پیشرفت رو دیدن و دیدن که مردم چقدر دوست میدارن این ورزش رو و مثلا وسط میان فرودگاه و جلو شادی میکنن، اونا هم خودشون یواش یواش ورزش براشون رو دوست دار شدن و خوششون اومد از این ورزش. و امروز من حدوداً 20 ساله که دارم این ورزش انجام میدم و خانواده‌ام هم در کل اینا کنارم هستن.
Okay. So Habib, I think we can try to translate this together because he kind of goes a little long
he
with
says,
the.
At the beginning, maybe their parents, they didn't support him because so when you start working out heavy, so you feel muscle pain, you suffer a lot. So at the beginning, no.
Right.
But when they saw him, he got a place, he got championship, world championship. So after that, once the people how become popular in Iran and Shiraz, and then after that they start slowly supporting him because he become bigger and bigger and higher and more popular.
When you start becoming more popular.
Exactly.
But in the beginning, that was a big thing with my family too. When I was competing, the big thing was that they were worried about how tired I was. Right. So if I was wrestling or if I was playing football, and then I eventually started bodybuilding right at the end of high school and like competing, I mean, but I was the same age. I was 13 years old when I started working out. And I did my first show as a teenager. And I believe I was like 18 or 19 years old. And the thing is that parents don't like the fact that you get physically tired, because my dad would always say, if you're physically tired, you can't study. Exactly. And my dad was a coach for very, very many years. And so he just was always worried about that. What did Hadi do for work? Like, with after high school, did he go to college? So did he go to that? And then what did he do for work?
چی کار میکردی برای کار و درس؟ تا چقدر درس خوندی؟ یا دانشگاه رفتی یا نرفتی؟
خب من درسم تا دیپلم خوندم.
Okay.
دیپلم که گرفتم کنارش کار میکردم. هنر من هنر گچکاری بود.
Okay, so do you want to go ahead and translate what so far?
Yeah, he said that I studied until I got my diploma, and then
high school diploma.
Yes.
Okay.
So and then he started working. He was working actually besides he was studying.
Right, and Gachgar is basically, I guess in English it would be a person that does kind of masonry. Is it masonry, or is it stonework, or is it doing walls?
The walls.
The walls. Yeah. So like somebody that specializes in sheetrock and that برای خونه, right? For the houses, برای خونه بود. برای ساختمون و خونه ها.
ساختمون بگید ساختمون.
Yeah. So the buildings, right? So
that's like construction, yeah.
Right. That's it. And so I think چند سال این کارو بکنی؟ How many years did you do that?
خب من 8 سال اون کار ادامه میدادم. کنارش تو تیم ملی ایران هم بودم، قهرمان جهان هم میشدم.
برای زیبا اندامی؟
کنار همین من قهرمان زیبا اندام جهان بودم.
Okay.
عضو تیم ملی ایران بودم.
So he did both. He actually was working while he was becoming a champion. He was still working, as a person that was basically a tradesman.
I remember exactly that days when he was coming from the work. After work, he was like just cleaning his hand and start working out, like 10 hours of work and then 2-3 hours of workout. I think nobody can do that, you know, because this construction is a physical
Construction.
Yeah.
Right. So he's doing construction work and then he would work all day.
Exactly.
And then, چند ساعت در روز کار میکردی? How many hours a
از
day?
7 صبح
7 in the
تا
morning
7 شب.
till 7 at night.
بعد باشگاه رو از 8 و نیم شروع میکردیم تا 10.
The gym at 8:30 till 10 p.m. So he would train an hour and a half at night and then 12 hours during the day. So that's a lot of work. بعدن when did you stop? کی دیگه کار دیگه نکردی فقط شروع کردی چی؟ میرم کی شروع کردی که فقط ورزش میکردی؟
خب اونم از 10 سال پیش دیگه کار ساختمون رو کنار گذاشتم و محکم باشگاه داری رو شروع کردم، چسبیدم به ورزش و وارد دنیا حرفه‌ای شدم.
Okay. So at 24, 10 years ago, when he was 24, he stopped working and on the day-to-day job in construction. And then what he did for the last 10 years is, you know, he became a professional and was able to sustain, you know, paying his bills, taking care of all of those things. And for the last 10 years, he's been exclusively bodybuilding. And then مربیم بودی.
آره مربی
so he was coaching.
برنامه‌نویسی می‌کردم، باشگاهداری می‌کردم.
Okay.
و یه باشگاه دارم از خودم و اونجا فعالیت داشتم.
Okay. So he was running the gym and everything else. So when you guys, how old were you, Habib, when you guys met originally? How many years ago was that?
It was, I guess, like 15 years ago.
15 years ago?
Yeah.
You guys originally met?
Yeah, because he was, my older brother, he was competing with him in same division. There was 70 kilogram on
70 kilogram division, which is like about 150 pounds?
Yes.
Yeah.
150,
60 pounds. So your brother used to compete against him?
Yeah, exactly. So one of the once.
Who won?
He got the first place. My brother got the second place. But always my brother was telling me, "Hey, I deserve the second." And you, because my brother, exactly what happened in 2000, like Mr. Olympia 221. My brother has more leaner and more definition. He has more size.
Oh, so he was the big Ramy. Exactly, he was the big Ramy.
Exactly what happened.
Big Hadi.
Like in that competition. Yeah.
Yes. So با داداش ایشون مسابقه می‌کردی؟
بله.
برای
البته یک بار.
One time they competed against him. باخت.
Yeah.
اون باخت.
ولی خب
So he was more cut. اون بیشتر cut بود.
اون علی آقا امروز یکی از پیشکسوت‌ها و مربی خیلی قدیمی استان فارسه. و خودش امروز تو فعالیت مربیگری خیلی موفقه و شاگرداش قهرمان.
کی هستش این؟
برادر من.
Oh, داداش شما. Okay,
داداش
Okay. So Habib's brother is a known ex-competitor. Doesn't compete anymore, right?
No.
But he's a coach.
Yeah,
he's a coach. And then does he work out of your gym in Shiraz?
No, it's another gym. My gym is different.
Okay.
He has another gym.
Okay. So he runs another gym and then he does that. Okay. And then so you're the little brother that saw Hadi competing and you guys were friends. Wow. That's cool. So what I guess when you decided to do this, like اون موقعی که شروع کردی, when you decided to do this, تا حالا فکر می‌کردی که مثلا به اینجا برسی؟ Like, did you ever think you would get to this level?
من همیشه وقتی تمرین می‌کردم رامبود مثل المپیا فکر می‌کردم. همیشه اینو تو خودم جا داده بودم که یه روزی قهرمان مثل المپیا میشم و واسهش تلاش کردم شبانه روز. من بعضی مسابقات حرفه‌ای بوده از شب میرفتم تا صبح تمرین می‌کردم. یعنی روزی 3 بعد تمرین می‌کردم که بتونم به اون کات و بدن زیبایی برسم که بتونم به مثل المپیا وارد شم. و امروز که دیگه با شما آشنا شدم و الان 5 سال دارم کار میکنم خیلی موفق تر از قبل هستم.
Okay, بذار ترجمه بکنیم.
He basically said, so always I was thinking one day I'm going to become a Mr. Olympia and I want to bring the Sando. So that's why he was
to bring the Sando home.
Yeah. So that's why he always working out, and basically he said like 3 times.
Sometimes he would train 3 times a day. I know about those stories.
And after he knows you and then he start and become more the dream, he felt like the dreams comes true. So it's coming true. So
و امروز که ببینید دیگه یکی از حریفای سرسخت مثل المپیا هستیم و هر سال داریم سخت‌تر و سخت‌تر با هم تلاش میکنیم که بتونیم به اون مجسمه تاندو برسیم و مدال اول رو کسب کنیم و تکرار کنیم و هر سال اون رو تکرار کنیم و واسهش تلاش میکنیم.
And yeah, now we are one of the biggest chances to win the competition. So now we're working hard, and we're together. I believe we can one day bring the first place and get the Sando home.
Yeah, he constantly talks about how he is becoming better and better, and we've all seen that. I mean, obviously last year was a little bit of a hiccup because of the 2 days before the visa issues, and I do want to talk a little bit about that. But it's one of the things is that he has definitely gotten better, and I know that we've been working. The more we get to spend time together, the better he's becoming, because we were able to work on techniques and we're able to work on adjusting certain things and diets and everything else. And the good thing in the learning is what I consider that the best thing about this is learning him and his body and some of the things that we learn as we watch him, what he does, because he has a lot of traditional ways of doing things, like, you know, sometimes working out twice a day. So let's talk about that, because a lot of people have asked that in some of the questions. چند دفعه در روز دوست داری ورزش بکنی الان؟
خب من از ورزش کردن خسته نمیشم و قبل از مشورت خودمون من روزی 3 بار تمرین میکردم.
Jay used to train 3 times a day, and because he doesn't get tired of training. He loves training so much and he doesn't get tired of it.
و امروز که دیگه با هم مشورت کردیم تصمیم شده که 1 بار تمرین بکنیم.
And we've decided after this prep that we're going to back it off to once a day, because I basically told him we really need to back it off because he's basically doing too much. It's one of those things where when I work with somebody, I like to try to figure out not to try to change too many things at once, because obviously his formula has been working to a degree, but I do feel like the output was too much and that we could have been a little bit bigger if we were able to cut back a little bit of the training. So that's one of the things that we definitely had a big takeaway from this prep, is that he loved to train and I have to back it off a bit because he's spending too much time in the gym and I feel like he's not being efficient enough. So therefore, that's why he's talking about like actually cutting it back from like 3 times a day to like once a day. The other thing that I also want to mention and point out that he was doing a lot of cardio really far out because he just felt like he wanted to make sure he was lean enough. And that was one of the things that I definitely cut back. And we're going to be able to cut more of that back even further, because I felt that that was a little bit detrimental to him. And we could also make some changes there to bring him in even a little bit bigger by just not having to cut down so much, because I think he was just constantly paranoid of, hey, I want to be in shape. I want to be in shape. And sometimes competitors do that and then they overdo it. And then what they end up doing is spending too much time on that treadmill because they're getting out their nervous energy on the cardio, thinking that I'm just going to come in ultra ripped. So that's just obviously my take on it as a coach. Alon, so the people that are asking questions here, they're saying, can you talk a little bit about your hearing problem?
در مورد مشکل شنواییت که میتونید خیلی صحبت کنید.
خب این مشکل رو خیلی از کسا مادرزادگی دارن و من از بچگی این مشکل رو داشتم و عصبای گوشم ضعیف بود و شنواییم کم بود و این بکنه مشکل ارثی باشه.
Okay.
Yeah, so he basically said he had this problem since he born actually, and he think it's a genetically problem.
Right.
So he had it from since he was kids. So
yeah, so he was a kid, he had a hearing difficulty and he felt that it's basically genetic.
Yeah.
And does any of your brothers or sisters خواهر برادرها کسی داری تو فامیلی تو که اونم پرابلم داشته باشن با شنیدن؟ کسی دیگه هستش تو فامیلیشون؟
تو خواهر برادرها یا تو فامیلیتون کسی هست که مشکل داشته باشه؟
این یه مشکل ارثیه که از قبل بوده و به جز من 2 تا داداش دیگه هم اینجورن و شنوایی کمی دارن. ولی خب من بهتر از اون هستم، خیلی بهترم. چون من بیشتر شنوایی رو تحت میذارم به خاطر ورزش‌های سنگینی که میکنم، فشار بیشتری رو گوشم میاد و این نیست که کلا صدا رو نشنوم. من تشخیص حروف‌های کلمه‌ها رو به خاطر لهجه‌هاتون صحبت میکنن متوجه خیلی کلمه‌ها نمیشم، ولی کلا صدا موزیک و اینا رو کلا متوجهم.
Okay. So with the beat, he can listen to beats. He can hear certain things. With certain accents, he has problems with. Certain frequencies, which I know that it cause him problem, right, Habib?
Yes.
Yeah, and then also, I think he said 2 of his brothers also have hearing problems. And again, whatever it's going on is sounds like it's very genetic, and they both had it since they had problems since they were younger too. چند تا خواهر برادر داری? How many brothers and sisters do you have?
خب ما بابامون خیلی زرنگ بود.
Their dad was very strong.
Yeah, and active.
He was very active. Yes, he's very strong and active. I said, how many brothers and sisters do you have? And here we're gonna go old school Persian style on you guys. How many?
ما 6 تا داداشیم.
Uh-huh.
یه دونه خواهر.
Okay, so 7. 6 boys and 1 girl. So one sister and 6 brothers. Wow. Okay. And then شما مادر پدرتون از اصل همه یه دونه مادر پدر یا چند تا مادر پدر مختلف داری؟
نه بابا، ما ایرانی ها اینجوری نیستیم که بخوایم زیاد طلاق تلقیش بکنیم. همچین چیزی نیست. تو قانون ایران زمانی که روز اول عقد میکنی و حلقت به دست هم بکنی، دیگه این اولین و آخرین ازدواجته. دیگه اون خیلی کم.
I'm basically asking how many wives does this have, because in the Islamic faith you can usually have up to 4 wives, right? Yep. Habib? Yeah. Habib, did you guys know anybody that had multiple wives growing up?
Not 4, to be honest, but we had a neighbor. He had 2 wives, and they was both living in the same place.
They're both living in the same place.
Yeah, that's
wow. So in one bedroom,
had like 4 from the first one, 3 from the second one, and they were all living in one building.
What do you mean 3 and 4? Like kids? You mean?
Yeah, 4 kids from the first wife and 3 kids from.
And they're all in the
second
same building.
All same building, living together.
Wow. So is that something that still goes on now? No.
It's not really common, you know. Yeah. Even back in the days, it wasn't that common. So.
Yeah. Well, I'm married and I got 1, and it's enough for me. I don't know if I go into 2 or 3, but at the end of the day, you know, I hear about stories, you know, where they have that, you know, in certain parts of the Middle East where they have up to 4 wives.
Exactly. Yep. Maybe I want to say mostly the Arab country.
Yeah.
But because in Iran there is a law, if you want to get the second one, you need to you get permission from the first wife. So
you got to get permission. Okay, seriously, I didn't know that. So you have to get permission.
In Iran is like that, but some other country, like mostly Arab country, they're not.
So they get to vote. They get to vote. So you get to vote if you can for the second wife.
Yeah, you need to ask your first one. Hey, I want to get the second one. Am I allowed or no? If she allow you, yeah, you can. But if she not, no.
Oh, you can't.
You get in trouble.
Oh wow. Okay. Yeah. All right. So do you have any plans on having any additional wives? I guess that's no. Okay. All right. So چند تا بچه داری? How many kids do you have? 3. Boys or girls? I already know the answer to this, but go ahead.
من 2 تا پسر دارم، 1 دختر.
Okay, so 2 boys and 1 girl. And how old are the kids? چند سالشونه؟ چند سالشونه؟
خب پسر بزرگم 12 سالشه.
12 years for the biggest boy?
دخترم 11 سالشه.
11-year-old girl?
و پسر کوچیکم 1 سال.
And then he's got 1-year-old he ended up having, who's less than 1-year-old, because he had right after the Olympia last year, because he went right after the Olympia, and then I think it was in January. It was in January, I think. Yeah, I think it was in January where he had his 3rd child. So Mubarak wishes. Yes, congratulations. So now, do your kids, بچه‌ها دوست دارن زیبا اندامی رو؟
هیچ وقت نمیذارم بیان طرف پهلوشان.
No.
بچه‌ها دوست دارن که تو ورزشکار.
خب اونا دوست دارن منو. دیگه به هر صورت اسطوره زندگیشونم. اما اگه بخوام بیان سمت ورزش نمیذارم.
Why?
خب سختی‌ها که خودم کشیدم نمیخوام اونا بکشم.
Oh, he says it's hard. So he thinks that it's hard. He's very protective of his kids. Because of the fact is that he thinks that it's very difficult. It's a very, very difficult sport. So he's like my dad, you know. He's like, go play soccer.
Exactly.
برو فوتبال بازی بکن. Go like Tiger Woods and play golf. It's a lot safer.
Kushti.
Yeah.
He was in wrestling.
Wrestling?
Yeah, he was sending him to wrestling, but
Yeah. کشتی.
Not bodybuilding.
So ما نزدیک 4 سال 5 سال we've been known each other for 4 or 5 years. بین 4 تا 5 سال با هم هستیم. درباره ویزا I want to talk about your visa problem, right? So درباره visa, like what happened with the visa before me? You were trying to get into the United States for a while, right? And you might know Habib about the situation. I guess one of the questions was, how many years was he trying before we became acquainted and became friends and eventually we started working together?
قبل از اینکه با عضو تیم ایوژن بشی چند سال بود که امتحان میکردی که ویزا بگیری ولی نمیشد؟
خب من سال 2016 کارت حرفه‌ایمو گرفتم و در مسابقات مثل المپیا روسیه مجوز مستقیم به مثل المپیا رو گرفتم.
He got his pro card in 2016 and he got his qualifier for Mr. Olympia.
Where did he get his pro card?
In Russia.
In Russia.
Mr. Olympia amateur was. Mr. Olympia amateur بود ها.
The amateur Mr. Olympia in Russia 2016.
He got the overall play and he got the qualifier for Mr. Olympia.
Well, he qualified for a pro. I don't think he became.
He got the pro card, and at the same time, it was qualified for the Mr. Olympia too.
Oh, it was.
Yeah.
Okay.
The overall could get the pro card and also.
Okay, I wasn't aware of that. Okay,
yeah.
And then but he couldn't come at the time.
He couldn't.
And okay, and he ended up getting his pro card, and he also got qualified. Wow. Okay, and then at that point, then where did you like the visa situation? How so it was like since 2016 is when he started. Okay, so it was about 2 or 3 years before we started working together. So that he was trying to come through. That's a thing. How frustrating was that? Like I can only imagine. چقدر like سختیش چقدر بود مثلا I guess Habib, could you explain that?
خب سختی ویزا وقتی میری داخل سفارت از تو مدارکی میخوان که تو رو اعتبار تو رو بالا نگه داره.
Right.
و یکی از مهمترین اعتبارات این اسپانسریه که تو رو پوشش بده و کسی که تو رو تایید بکنه و اومدن تو رو به آمریکا و برگشتن تو رو به قول معروف تایید کنه.
Right.
و یکی از کمک‌های بزرگی ما واسه گرفتن ویزا اسپانسری شرکت ایوژن بود.
Okay. So
برگ قرارداد ما تو این قضیه پرونده خیلی کمک بزرگی بود و بهتمون خیلی اعتبار داشت و برگ ورود به مستر المپیا یکی دیگری از اعتباراش بود.
ببخشین so basically what he's talking about is the fact that it really helped when we signed him with Evogen, and that was one of the things with his manager Hadi Choopan had reached out to me and wanted to basically see if I would be interested in working with Hadi, and obviously I didn't know Hadi at the time, and then he sent me some videos and some pictures, and I said, wow, he's a good bodybuilder, and he's an Iranian bodybuilder, and I didn't really have a connection with Beytullah Abbaspur. And so he was being trained by Dennis James. I also didn't, but I always thought I wanted a connection with somebody. We call it in Farsi hamvatan, right? Yeah. It's somebody that is a person that's also from your culture. And so I wanted to make sure that if there was a possibility, then maybe that we can connect. It might work out, but I was a little apprehensive. And so what I did was I talked to Hadi Choopan, who's one of the managers for Hadi Choopan, and who's based out in the Emirates, and he was the one that was basically saying, "Hey, look, we really think that we'd like to not only have you coach him, but we'd like to also come over to the Evogen team," and it was part of that. And because his sponsorship was running out with whoever he was with in the past, and that was all working out together, Hadi Choopan was able to help with all the documentation, putting all that stuff together, him and his brother Mehdi, and they were able to get the visa together. But I think the biggest thing was the team was able to put all of those documents together and get everything going. And it's not just Evogen, it wasn't just them, it was all of it. It was all of it. Because it was definitely teamwork, 100%. And so I think that was one of the things was that, but having them be passionate about it, and they love him to try to be able to work on getting to the United States to give him the ability to live out his dream of being able to compete with the best in the world was something that I personally enjoyed being able to be a part of. So I really appreciate them for being able to reach out to me, because if that never happened, then, you know, and also being very diligent, because as people know, people reach out to me all the time, and I always, you know, just, I don't usually have time, you know? So it was something that was really, I'm glad it happened.
Yeah, I agree. At least 99%, I'm sure 99% of Iranian bodybuilders, they want to work with you because you're a legend in Iran. They really, really like you.
Well, I really like them too. I love all the people, because in Iran, as you guys see on social media, the Iranian fans are the biggest fans in the entire world of bodybuilding. They're the most outspoken. The numbers are insane. So when you guys see on social media, you see a lot of Iranian flags and all that. It's because the fans, there's so many of them. Like I said, when they're as big as soccer in bodybuilding, it's really, really big. But getting back to Hadi, you know, let's talk about a little bit of the 2021 Mr. Olympia. You know, what just happened a couple of days ago. You have been gone. How long? چند وقته از ایران در اومدی? How many months? Weeks, months?
100 روز از ایران اومدم.
You've been out of the country for over 100 days. 100 روز, 100 days. خیلی سخته.
خیلی.
It's very hard. It's very hard. I know how hard it is. So I'm kind of answering for him, but he's also was agreeing with me about how hard it is. Because you're leaving your business, you're leaving your family, his wife, his kids, and he's been gone to be able to try to live this dream. Is there anything like what do you think of the United States? چی فکر درباره آمریکا با چی چیزایی فرق داره با ایران؟ چی چیزایی هستش که این چیز؟
هیچ فرقی نمیبینم من.
Okay.
همونقدر که مردم ایران خوبن، مردم آمریکا هم خوب هستن. و من امروز سال سوم میام آمریکا میرم و همه چیز خوب بوده. احترام ها، برخورد ها، دوستی ها. در ورزش سیاست نیست و ما مردم با هم خوبیم.
خیلی ترجمه بکنی؟
هیچ بدی ندیدم.
Basically, he said there is no difference between the Iranian people and American people, and we all human, and he likes everyone. He got respect and energy from both people. And he came here. He came in U.S. 3 times since 2018, and he see all respect and all attention from the people. So he likes both people. So
yeah,
there's no difference.
I think the good thing about bodybuilding is it transcends, you know, countries and borders. And I hate the fact that sometimes politics gets involved where people can't compete and come here because of the political nature of where your passport is from. And there's so many good bodybuilders in Iran and all over the world. I mean, but lots of them can't come here, like, you know, especially in the Middle East, because in the Middle East, all over, there's so many really good bodybuilders. You know, talking about the gyms, I forgot to ask you this because I really want to ask you this. How many gyms are in Tehran? چند تا باشگاه هستش توی تهران؟ تو خود تهران فکر می‌کنی چند تا باشگاه هستش؟ من شنیدم که نزدیک 3 تا 5,000 تا باشگاه هستش تو تهران. Is that true? درسته؟
توی ایران؟
نه، توی ایران یعنی چند تا باشگاه؟ یا تو خود تهران یا هر جا؟
تو هر شهر ایران حداقل 700 تا باشگاه.
At least 700 in every city.
و ورزشگاه ما
تو تهران من شنیدم
اصلا 5,000 کامل شمارش نیست. تهران 20 میلیون جمعیت داره.
Okay, it's 20 million people in Tehran. And I've heard that there's over 5,000 gyms. Is that about right?
Yep, that's true.
قابل شمارش نیست. تهران یکی از پایتخت‌های شلوغ جهانه.
Right.
و باشگاهش قابل شمارش نیست. اما شهرهای دیگه کوچیک‌تر از 500 تا 700 تا باشگاه داره.
Small cities, 500 to 700 gyms in the small cities. The big ones like Tehran, which is the capital of Iran, over 5,000 gyms. It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's absolutely just, crazy. So that's why bodybuilding is so big there, because they have access to these gyms. How much is a membership there? Like چقدر مثلا پولانشه مثلا ماهانه؟
خب شهر باشگاه ایران نسبت به درآمد مردم مساوی هست. بعضی جای خورده گرونه، بعضی جای خورده کمه، ولی قابل نهایت گرونترین باشگاه ایران در ماه $10 باشه.
He says the most expensive gym in Iran is $10 a month because of the exchange rate. That's why it's very, very different than the United States. And that's like the top of the line. That's like, in places. And I've been in places where, where there's gyms are $250, $500 a month because it's, like a center, sports center. That's would be the equivalent. When you go there, the quality of the gyms around the Middle East are amazing, especially the high-end gyms. And it's just because of the exchange rate. It's because of the exchange rate. It's about 30,000 to 1. Is that the last number? Yeah, it's about 30,000 to 1. So one of our US dollars is 30,000 of their riyal, right? Exactly. Iranian riyal. See, I remember. So, and I remember 4 years ago, it was like 3,500 to 1.
Exactly. Yeah.
And it's just inflation is through the roof.
It was 2016. It was 3,500 riyal. Now it's almost 10 times more. Yeah. It was how much?
3,500 riyal. 3,500, and now it's 30,000. It's almost 10 times. Yeah. It's definitely the least valued currency in the world. So the inflation is absolutely crazy in Iran, and that makes food prices, and it's very difficult. So that being said, like چقدر سخت بود که گوشت میخوای بخوری، قیمت‌های این چیزا خیلی گرونه. چطوری میتونی مثلا اون ورزشکارهایی که تو ایران هستن که میخوان احتیاج دارن به مثلا یا مرغ یا بغلمون is turkey یا گوشت گاو که میشه ما میگیم گوشت قرمز beef. So like taking those kinds of meat, like it's very expensive. So how do they do it?
خب این ورزش در همه جا دنیا و ورزشکار گرون حساب میشه.
All around the world it's expensive. Not just in there, but because it's an expensive sport. Go ahead.
و بخوابن.
You gotta eat and
داخل ایران
and train.
چون مکمل‌ها وارداتیه و باید اونا تومن ایران رو به دلار تبدیل کنن و این خیلی گرون پاشون میفته.
Supplements are expensive there because by the time you do the exchange rate, it's very, very expensive. And absolutely, because I know how expensive Evogen is there. And then there's a lot of fake, right? In Iran, خیلی فیکه.
آره.
There's a lot of fake.
خب بیشترین کسایی تو ایران هستن الان مکمل مصرف میکنن.
Right.
و مکمل به دلار خرید فروش میشه.
Okay.
و به قیمت پول ایران که میخواد در ظرفیت خیلی پایینتری قرار داره بخوان صرف کنن چنج کنن به دلار خیلی گرون میشه.
So the exchange everything is basically done in US dollars when purchasing supplements, especially the correct ones, because as I've been just educated to and learned from the fact that there is so many fakes. Like that's why everything that is real they do obviously through the US dollar. But how much چند درصد مکمل ایران واقعی هست؟ چند درصدش فیکه؟
فیک زیاد هست.
چی درصدی؟
خب دیگه مافیا
80% like 90%.
مافیا اقتصادی زیاده.
Okay.
و فکر کنم 70% مکمل ایران فیک.
This is over 70% of it is going to be fake. Because the people that are making they call it the supplement mafia that makes fake products, right, Habib?
Exactly.
Yeah.
I believe even more.
Yeah, I've heard up to 90%.
I believe in 80-90%.
Yeah, that's what I heard. I heard it was 90%. And so and then when the people see real ones, it's expensive because they're getting cheap fake because it's not real. They're putting in flour in the gainers, they're putting in all kinds of products, they're putting in, like I've heard of everything from like sawdust, like literally like taking out pieces of wood from scrap, you know, like sawdust, and then putting it into gainers just to make it cheap.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's what the people do. Flour or whatever they can to make it cheap and just give it to people.
Flour's too expensive. That's why they use sawdust. It's cheaper. It's more fiber, you know? Wow, that's crazy. So now fast forward 2021. الان به 2021 برای مستر اولمپیا چی فکری میکردی؟ یک ماه اینجایی. You've been here for a month. Okay? It was the longest we've trained. الان بیشترین وقتی که با هم ورزش کردیم هر سه تا ما. Okay? حبیبم که هر روزم اونجا بود. دستت که درد نکنه که واقعا you really helped a lot. Thank you so much for everything you do, from taking him to the grocery store, taking him to the mall, taking him to all of those things, just, you know, being able to be there for him.
It was my pleasure, my honor to be next part of your team. So.
Yeah, I mean, again, we have a very big team. We have the guys here, yourself, we have the Evasion team, like, you know, we have Paul who helps out with there. We have the, you know, the Pacify brothers that help us so much with the visas and everything else. I mean, so many different things that they're based out in United Arab Emirates. And I think that when it's so difficult because people don't understand, like, you're not at home. You're not at home. This is like, you know, we have like an apartment style place that we rent out for Hadi, and it's like an extended stay type thing, but nicer. But at the same time, it's very, very difficult because you're doing this weeks on end. People don't like to do this the last 4 days before a show. They wish they could just drive there and get ready and then finish the show and go home. And he's been here for 5 weeks. So with that being said, do you feel did it benefit him being here a little bit longer? کمکت کرد که اینجا 5 هفته بودی اینجا؟ فکر می‌کنی کمکت کرد که یه ذره بیشتر اینجا بودی قبل از مسابقه؟
آره. خب دیگه 30 روز ما اینجا بودیم، 35 روز.
35 days.
35 روز خود شما بودیم. و این نصف استرس رو کم می‌کرد. چون دیگه هر کاری بود با برنامه ریزی پیش میرفت. هر شب هم دیگه رو می‌دیدیم، بعدا رو چک می‌کردیم.
We would see each other every day. We would check him, and, you know, he would his pose, and we would be able to do that. So it reduced his stress, you know, a lot.
و همه چیز طبق برنامه دقیق پیش رفت. و به نظر من امسال بهترین و کاملترین یکیشی بدنمو دیدم. و ضعفی توی بدنم نمیدیدم. من امسال یکی از بهترین و کارترین و زیباترین بدنهای مثل المپیا بودم.
He said he felt like he had the most improvements. He felt like he was the most cut he'd ever been. He felt like he had been able to show and improve all his body parts to minimize any weaknesses. So he felt very, very good about his prep.
وقتی که تلاش خودمون رو کردیم، اما باز به نظرات داورها احترام میذاریم، دید اونا با ما فرق میکنه و ما نمیدونستیم معیار مسابقات به بزرگی و گندگی عضلات و آبدار بودن بدن بود، وگرنه میتونستیم به اون شکل وارد بشیم. ما خواستیم زیباترین باشیم، کاترین باشیم و جزئیات بیشتری رو به نمایش بذاریم و بدنها رو برگردونه به دهه 90، به دهه 80 و نمایش زیبایی انجام دادیم.
Okay, so he's basically saying that what he was trying to do is really we were focusing on trying to make sure that we get as much separation and cut as possible because he wanted to try to bring it back into the 80s and the 90s look of that granite look. And that's where he wanted to focus on. And unfortunately, they went with size. And obviously, you don't always agree with the judging, but at the end of the day, you respect the judging. And but I think that he, accomplished the mission of being able to improve with the separation and the cuts. So that's very fair, very fair. سال دیگه for next year. چی چیزایی میخوای عوض کنی؟ What are the things that you want to change on your body که چی چیزایی که like what do you want to improve?
خب ما فکر کنیم با هم بتونیم برنامه‌ریزی‌های خیلی دقیق‌تری انجام بدیم. ما اشتباهی نداشتیم امسال. ما از دید همه بهترین بودیم و من اگه خودم داور نشسته بودم شخصا قهرمانی رو به خودم میدادم.
If he was a judge, you would win.
If it was judged too, also I would give him in the first place. Maybe because I'm his best friend.
Okay.
چون هم زیبایی رو داشتم، هم کات رو داشتم، هم تمام معیارهای بدنساز کامل رو به نمایش گذاشته بودم.
He felt like he was the most cut, and he felt like he had the most separation, and he was the most complete. So therefore, that's why he would say, like, hey, that's why I think that I would win, because of the fact that all of the things that he just stated.
و سال دیگه همه چیز عوض میشه. همین سیستم ولی 2 برابر چگالی. با وزن بیشتر.
Oh, he wants to do
size and density.
Okay, so he
بزرگی عضلات.
Okay, چند پوند میخوای بیشتر کنی? Like how many pounds do you want to, he wants the same type of physique, but he wants to be bigger. So how many pounds bigger are you thinking? What do you do? Because I have numbers in my mind. And I mean, like, you let's see if we're on the same page. So چند کیلو میخوای بیشتر کنی؟
خب همه میدونن من یه بدن در سطح 212 پوند هست.
Yeah, exactly. You have a body of a frame of originally being 212, but چند پوند? Like how many pounds?
من سال دیگه هم که با مشورت خودتون بوده 200
نه پوندا رو نگو. من فقط میخوام ببینم چقدر بیشتر میخوای باشی.
5 کیلو.
5 کیلو. Wow, he wants to go 10 pounds.
10 pounds.
That's a lot. Let's negotiate.
Too much work for you.
Yeah, I know. It's like, God. All right. We're now on to our sponsors. Yeah, I think that what we really need to do is, with his frame, I think even 5 or 6 pounds is a lot. I think it's really good. I think به نظر من نزدیک 2.5 کیلو خیلی رو بدن شما. So به نظر من زیاد نمیخوام مثلا, like, I don't want to blow out his proportions. His shikam is bit, his stomach is shikam is. We're doing Farsi lessons now. Is you know, to get wide. We don't want it to widen out. So I think there's going to be a certain number. I think around 5 pounds. If we can do that, is bring in 5 pounds of overall size.
Yeah, for next year I think 5 pounds is going to be ideal.
Yeah, and I think if we can keep the quality the same, because the other thing is Friday night, right? We want to talk a little bit about Friday night. So Jom Shab. So Friday night is Jom Shab بود برای اولین روز المپیا که می‌خواستی شرکت بکنی. ما سعی کردیم که we went in there trying to focus on conditioning. And I guess, you know, I got Dave here. I guess we got, what are some of those questions over there regarding the Friday?
Just how we felt about Friday night.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I think Shema might have been Rusaku. Okay, when he came on stage on Friday night. Feeling into چی بود? Like, what was your feeling like? What was it? How did you feel? Feeling into چطور بود?
نه چه حسی داشتی شب جمعه شب وقتی که اومدی سکو چه حسی داشتی؟
خب من خیلی سکو رفتم، خیلی مسابقه دادم، استرس و چیزی روی سکو ندارم. وقتی میرم رو سکو جنگنده هستم، ولی بهترین احساسم اینه که زمان میرم اون بالا همه مردم رو یک جا میبینم و شور حالی که تماشاچی ها به نمایش میذارن یا اسم تو صدا میکنن، این شوق زیبایی داره و به رویه بالایی میده. وقتی میبینی خودت تنها روبرودی همه جمعیت نشسته و داره یه جا تو رو صدا میکنه، تو رو تشویق میکنه، حس خیلی خوبی بهم دست میده و این خودش یک تشویقی که سال بعد دوباره بیای اینا رو ببینیم.
Right.
حس زیبایی داره.
Basically said, but I competed in a lot of competitions, so I really didn't have that much stress, and because I'm a warrior.
It's savage. It's savage.
Yeah. But it's a good feeling when you see the audience, when they all call your name. So that's a positive energy, and when I see them, that's a really best feeling when I go to competition.
That's great. That's great. So out of all of the competitors, okay, the question was, what did you think of the new guys? Like, I guess if you want to Go ahead and translate it. Go
بین
ahead.
همه شرکت کننده ها تو این شرکت کننده جوون کدومشو به نظرت در مورد کدومشون هست؟ کدومشو فکر کنی بهتره؟
شرکت کننده که تو وزن خودم بودن یا همه؟
Open bodybuilding yeah.
Open bodybuilding to open bodybuilding and to که شرکت کرده بودن تازه که داره میان کدوم یکی فکر میکنی که مثلا واقعا چیز داره؟
یعنی رقیبم باشن یا مقابلم باشن؟
یا نه مثلا برایشون
آینده خوبی داره.
آینده
خوبی داره.
آینده خوبی داشته
خب
باشه.
بدنها چیزی که بگم حرف خودم رو بزنم
من میتونم بگم حرف خودتو بزن.
من فکر میکنم بدنها دارن رو به زشتی میرن.
Becoming a little bit.
از زیبایی دارن خارج میشن.
Okay, so they're losing the aesthetic look. He's saying that a lot of the competitors are losing some of the aesthetic look.
Exactly.
Right.
همونجور که اگه اسمشو برگردونه برقب اسم این ورزش در عکس زیبایی اندام بود.
Okay.
پرورش اندام.
Mm-hmm.
امروزه داره به زشتی اندام پیش میره. یعنی جوری داره همه قهرمان‌ها فقط دارن سعی میکنن داروهای زیادی مصرف کنن که گنده بشن و بزرگ بشن و این معیار داره روز به روز رشد میکنه و خطرناکتر میشه و باعث ریزش محبوبیت ورزش میشه.
Okay, so basically he thinks that the athletes are becoming too big. They're looking too doped up. And then they're basically starting to get to the point where they're losing a lot of the aesthetics. Okay. So, in other words, was that pretty good translation?
Yep, you're doing good.
Wow, man!
Your Farsi getting much better compared to 2016 when I saw you in Arnold Classic.
Oh yeah,
yeah. You couldn't even talk 10 more back to back. Man, but
because
now you
if you need me to yell at somebody in Farsi because I'm screaming at Hadi, you know I've become so good at it.
Exactly.
I forgot about that. That's right. We met in 2016 Arnold Classic. I think you were competing there.
Yeah. I came with some Iranian athletes. We came together for Arnold Classic 2000.
And that was in men's physique you were competing in, right?
I was competing in men's physique.
That's right. How did you do?
I got 7th place.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's good. That's a very tough show.
Yeah,
that's a very tough show. Arnold Classic amateur, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
exactly.
That's awesome. But I think that the I guess when out of the new bodybuilders, okay, اونایی که تازه مثلا تو این 30 سال 25 سال اخیر از ورزشکارا کدوم یکی تو بیشتر خوشت اومده بود از همه Olympia, like all the Olympia people that competed in Mr. Olympia, who is your favorite bodybuilder in the last 25 years? I know we all love Arnold, right? But Arnold is like, 45, 50 years.
دوران خودم.
Yeah, دورانی که 20, the era in the last 20 years.
هر کسی بپرسی جواب قانع کننده بهت میده. توی این 25 سال زیباترین بدنها اول رون کولمن.
Ronnie Coleman, okay. Phil Heath,
Jay Cutler, Dexter Jackson.
Then Dexter Jackson.
این 4 بدنسازی هستن که واقعا محبوبن واسه من.
Okay.
و تو پرورش اندام واسه من مثل یک پادشاه همیشه میمونن. دکستر به من یاد میده که باید 25 سال مثل المپیا شرکت کنی تا بتونی ساندو ببری.
Okay, so basically the 4 people that he mentioned, Ronnie Coleman, Phil Heath, Dexter Jackson, I'm leaving out one, and Jay Cutler. Those are the people he looks up to. And then Dexter Jackson, because of the fact that he basically proved to him that 25 years of just relentlessly competing and training to be able to get to the top. Go ahead.
و یاد میده که اینقدر تلاش کن و صبر کن تا به نتیجه برسی. اینو از دکتر جکسون یاد میگیرم. از رونی کولمن یاد میگیرم که اگه بخوای بزرگ بشی باید بزرگ تمرین کنی، سخت تمرین کنی. و اگه بخوای به پادشاهی برسی باید عاشقش باشی و برای اینکه عاشقی خودت نشون بدی از همه سلامتی و از همه شادیات بگذری و این نشون میده عاشق بود.
Basically said, okay, he learned consistency from the Dexter Jackson to be consistent for 25 years to get the title, and he learned hard working from Ronnie Coleman, and he learned from him if you want to be big and king, you need to be in love with this sport.
You have to be passionate. You have to be passionate. Yeah. And I think that is that's why he trains so crazy hard. You know, I mean, guys, in 2019 when he was here, he squatted 10 days out, 1 week out, 5 plates, rear squats. You saw the videos, ass to ankles. He went all the way in the hole. This year, because we didn't, again, last year, he only came a couple of days before. We barely even got to train. I think we did one little small training session when we were in Orlando, just to turn his water a bit. Then this year for this last prep, you know, he's been here for an entire month before we left for Orlando. So about 5 weeks out, and he did a week out, 4 plates in the hole with front squats, which is even harder to do than the 5 plates rear squat. And so obviously he trains crazy. So is that where he draws his thing? Did you رانی کولمن رو نگاه میکنی؟ Is that where you get it from? ویدیوهای رانی کولمن نگاه میکردی که خودت میخوای به اونجا برسونی خودت رو؟ Did you take yourself to that level because you watched the videos? ویدیوها رو نگاه میکردی برای همین اینقدر سخت کار میکردی؟ Yeah? Yeah. So that's inspirational for him, was watching the Ronnie Coleman videos and be able to do that. So one of the other questions is, who do you like? Which bodybuilder do you like that maybe had not been Mr. Olympia before, but that you felt like either should have been Mr. Olympia, or somebody that you have like, who are your favorites, or do you have one?
چه بدنسازی رو فکر میکنی که مستر المپیا رو نبرده ولی حقش بوده که مستر المپیا رو ببره؟
با احترام به همه اون قهرمانایی که اون سال قهرمان شدن.
With all due respect for all the people that did become Mr. Olympia that year. Kai Green. Wow. Flex Wheeler.
Kevin LeBron.
And Kevin LeBron. Awesome.
فکر کنم این سه تا باید یه استاندارد رو داشته باشن.
He thinks that maybe all those should have won at least one Mr. Olympia. I'm glad Kai Green didn't win any of the Olympias though. So I'll be honest with you. So you can have your opinion. Yeah. we're not gonna always agree, but it's okay. It's okay. I still love you. So من گفتم همه دیگه آره، فقط کای گرین نه، برای اینکه با فیل هیت جنگ زیاد کرده، نه فقط اون نتونست ببره، چیز خوبی بود برای من. So it was good. So در هر صورت, so in that case what I wanted to say is basically break down the Mr. Olympia 2021, the 2 competitors, why you beat them. If in your mind you think you should beat them. So how do you beat Brandon Curry? Why do you beat Brandon Curry? چرا فکر میکنی شما از برندن کری بدنتون بهتره؟
خب من به دید بگم وقتی 2 تا عکس رو میاریم کنار هم مقایسه میکنیم، تعداد عضلات نفر اول، تعداد عضلات نفر دوم و سوم و نقش زیبایی که دارن، تقارن بالا، تقارن پایین‌تنه، اینا رو با هم مقایسه میکنیم.
Okay, so symmetry. He's talking about symmetry. He says if you pull the pictures of Brandon Curry versus him, and you pull symmetry from the upper body to the lower body, you're going to see a difference. Go ahead.
برندون یکی از بهترین دوستای منه.
Okay.
و من در رفاقت خیلی دوستش دارم.
He says he really likes him as a person and a friend. He considers him a friend.
و چه بگیرمی.
And also with Big Ramy as well.
اما در رأس رقابت بخوایم داوری کنیم، برندون تقارن بالاتنه و پایینتنه رو شامل نمیشه.
Okay, so he basically says that there's a lack of symmetry between his upper body and his lower body. Is that pretty accurate?
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
بالاتنه بزرگ، پای کوچیک بدون جزئیات.
Okay, بدون جزئیات, I don't know.
With no separation.
Okay, so he says his upper body is really, really big, and then he's got smaller legs, and then he doesn't have enough separation to be able to complete his physique, basically.
و من فکر میکنم معیار داوری چیزی دیگه است و من واقعا نمیدونم برانلون چجوری منو داره میبره. چون هر جوری حساب میکنم من خیلی از برانلون بهترم در هر حال، در هر زمان، نسبت به اون طبقات وزنی که با هم داریم، با اون که اون وزنش خیلی بیشتر از منه اما خیلی کم بوده داره، خیلی چیزا من دارم اون نداره. و بیگ رامی
Okay, let me do that. But he thinks he has a lot of shortcomings versus Hadi's physique, with the fact that he feels like he has a lot more strengths versus Brandon's weaknesses, especially I think he's referring to the conditioning part of it is where
and also he said he's he weighed more than him,
right,
like 30 pounds, 20 pounds, but still he thinks he has more muscle compared to him and more separation.
Okay.
Big Ramy now.
And then now what about Big Ramy and you?
و فرق من و بیگ رامی در وزن هست. فکر کنم که هر کسی سنگین تر باشه مقام بهتری میگیره. ایشون 30 کیلو از من سنگین ترن.
Right. So he's Big Ramy's really big. Again, Big Ramy. He outweighs him by over 60 pounds.
اما من به عنوان یه طرفدار اگه برادر بیگ رامی باشم من خودم مثل برادر بیگ رامی میبینم و
اگه من like a brother.
بخوام طرفداری کنم بیگ رامی زیبایی قهرمانی مثل المپیا رو نداره.
He doesn't have the ideal Mr. Olympia physique in his opinion. So
و اون فقط گنده است.
He's big, but it's just feels like, you know, he's got a lot of size.
و اگه بیام قهرمان مثل المپیا رو با سالهای قبل مقایسه کنم فاصله زیبایی ها خیلی میشه.
He says that they're much more symmetrical and they're much more aesthetic in the past Mr. Olympias if you compare where Big Ramy is now with the previous winners.
و فکر کنم فقط بیگ رامی به گنده بودن و سنگین بودن داره برنده میشه.
He said he's winning off of pure size.
و نه در زیبایی.
And not in aesthetics.
و باز من به نظر داورا احترام میذارم.
Yeah, but he says at the end of the day he respects the judge's call and that's, you know, he respects it 100%. So.
و آرزوی سلامتی واسهشون دارم و اینو بگم که سال دیگه واقعا اگه زمستون خوبی بیاد چون من امسال خیلی گرمم بود.
He says, I guess you want to translate that, Habib?
So he said, I hope next year to become a colder winter because this year it wasn't that cold and it was feeling warm.
He was feeling warm in the cold winter. You know, the big saying is the winter is coming. And that's the Ramy saying. And he said that he was feeling very warm during this Ramy winter.
Yeah.
Well, unfortunately, Ramy still won. He still got his hand out. And I'm sure he's laughing right now because, again, we're really good friends and we love Big Ramy a lot. But again, the competitive nature of this thing, I mean, you know, Hadi wants to win. I know Hadi. He wants to win and he wants to really prove that you don't have to be that big to win the Sandow. You just have to be that good because he talks about it every day. He talks about it in the gym when you and I are training. You know, he talks about how cut he wants to come in, how grainy he wants to come in, and he wants to bring back that old look. And so I feel like he did it. I feel like he really, really did it. So that being said, last question is about food. Cheat meals. Everybody wants to know cheat meals. غذا آزاده تو که میخوای مثلا بخوری.
غذای مورد علاقت چیه؟
Yes, what's your favorite? What's your favorite?
خب من همه غذای ایرانی رو دوست دارم.
Okay, he likes a lot of
عاشق غذای ایرانی.
And he does
اما بیشتر از همه من کلم پلو شیرازی با گوشت رو دوست دارم.
کلم پلو شیرازی. So there's
کنارش هم سالاد شیرازی باشه.
It's a traditional Shiraz food. Shiraz is our city, so the city I used to live in. We are from, so it's a traditional food there.
Mm-hmm.
And
what is kalam polo? I don't know if I've eaten it before. What's kalam polo? What is it?
We don't have it here, but it's made of rice and some herbs and vegetable, and also with some rounded like beef, like ground beef, rounded like
right. And it's with the rice.
Exactly.
So it's beef mixed with rice with herbs and then seasoning.
Yeah.
And then do they make tahdig with it too?
Yeah, tahdig.
Tahdig. For those of you who don't know Persian food, tahdig is the crispy part of the bottom of the rice that we all eat. I think Jay and Phil call it burnt rice. You know, it's not really burnt. It's just, it looks like it's burnt because it comes crispy. It's a crispy rice. It's the bottom of the pot. And so that's his favorite food with his salad is Shirazi salad. And Shirazi salad, if you've ever had it before, it's almost like a salsa. It's chopped up tomatoes, onions, a little bit of lemon juice, a little bit of olive oil, and then there's also tomato.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, cucumber also. Yeah. Cucumber
salsa
too.
Is going to be
Yeah, if you add cucumber to salsa, it's that salad Shirazi. Yeah, it's pretty close. Close. But they also in salsa will add cilantro. I don't think they'd add cilantro in Persian food, or at least in salad Shirazi. So
they
that's
add mint, I guess.
Yeah,
they add mint.
They'll add mint. Okay, so your American dessert, like what is it? What do you like? What's the favorite cheat meal? American cheat meal.
غذای مورد علاقه آمریکا.
خب من هر موقع آمریکا بودم کلا رژیم بودم دیگه وقت نکردم.
He's dieting most of the time when he's in America, so he doesn't get to burger, cheeseburger, but paneer. Yeah, so he's a cheeseburger. Yeah, that's like almost the universal thing, man.
Yeah,
cheeseburger. How about pizza? Are you a pizza guy? Do you like no pizza? Yeah. Do you eat pizza or no? In Iran, do they have pizza in Iran? Iran pizza to Iran هستش?
I think, in my opinion, Iran has the best pizza in the world.
Iran has the best pizza? That's because you grew up eating that.
No. We all go together, David.
Bro, just because Italians and Iranians look the same doesn't mean that we make the same food, bro. I'm sorry. Come on. Come on.
David can be judged because,
yeah,
he's from here, so that's why. You can tell if the Iranian pizza is better or US pizza. Easy.
Is it round like the regular pizza?
Yeah, same. But we add more cheese, more beef and stuff, so it has more stuff on it. Yeah,
they got more. Yeah, because we love to eat.
Yeah, exactly.
That's why the Persian, like I always give the Persian meals for the off season for my athletes because that's how they grow because they're so calorie dense. Yeah. David doesn't like to do that because he's on a diet. He's been on a diet like for 4 years. Yeah. So that's the thing. So, guys, I want to say thank you. Merci به شما. Merci که وقتتون رو گذاشتین. هر دوتاتون. Thank you for helping.
No problem.
Thank you to the team back in Emirates. Thank you for Hadi and Mehdi for being able to reach out to me years ago and connecting us and everything that they've done. And also, to People's Champ. Thank you for coming out here and spending the time to do a podcast. I know it's difficult. میدونم که خیلی سخته با این ایرونی فارسی همه لغت ها رو که نمیدونم. فقط واقعا برای مردم ایران فکر میکنم با مردم دنیا همه که عاشق زیبااندامی هستن میخوام بگم مرسی به شما که وقتتون رو گذاشتین برای ایشون که بتونیم برای همه بتونیم مثلا اینترویو بکنیم با هم. در هر صورت thank you so much and I want to wish you guys the best because inshallah سال دیگه بتونیم سنداو ببریم. Hopefully next year we'll be able to have the same podcast with a Sandow sitting across from us. So thank you so much.
No problem. Now I know, Paul, how much hard is translating. I know how you feel on the stage on Mr. Olympia.
You know how hard it is?
Yeah, you're doing a great job. You're a gold medal. Definitely I'm the silver.
That's right, guys. And that's a wrap. I'm Hany Rambod, Hadi Choopan, Habib, and that's the truth.